Okay, thank you very much. Please, round of applause. Thank you.
Okay, hello. Good afternoon. It's great to be here. Scotland is like my second home, really. I'm a physician, I'm a doctor. I've worked here for many years in the north of Scotland. We had some speakers this morning from Isle of Skye. I used to drive to Isle of Skye almost twice a week. Worked in Inverness for many years, and then later awarded the fellowship of the Royal College of Physicians of Edinburgh. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Journal of the British Blockchain Association, which is the world's first peer-reviewed academic journal on blockchain and cryptocurrencies. It's fully open access. I brought some copies here if anybody wants to take home. So, just a quick poll, show of hands, how many people practice evidence-based decision-making? Okay? Well, the truth is that all of us practice evidence-based decision-making. But sometimes the quality of evidence is not so great, and it's not so relevant. Some of us use good quality evidence, very relevant, and some of us use not so good quality evidence and not so relevant evidence. So what I'm going to talk about today, in the next 20 minutes, is give you an overview of what evidence-based practice means and how we can apply some of those principles to blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Yeah? So, I don't know if many of you have seen this. This is very recent. So, US President has signed a bill for Foundations of Evidence-Based Policymaking Act. So, evidence-based practice is now a law in the United States. Did you know that? It's now a law in the United States. And I'll give you a background of this. They looked at 10 projects, random community projects, and programs, and they found out that 9 out of 10 were not based on any scientific evidence. And it was costing US economy $9 billion a year. And these are decade-long programs. So almost 100 billion. Billion. So this is not 100 million. 100 billion it was costing US economy. And it's now a law. If you want to read about it, it's all open access. So policymakers, regulators, decision makers are increasingly using scientific evidence to make policies, establish benchmarks and frameworks. These are some of the recent statistics, JBBA research quoted by UK Parliament and also Federal Court of Australia and so on. SEC Commissioner in Singapore recently, in her speech on token economies, she quoted this paper, with a research, peer-reviewed, open access research, published again in the JBBA. It's if anybody wants to read. So policy makers are increasingly using and quoting and referencing scientific research to make decisions. This is another slide from European Commission meetup. This research was published in the JBBA on supply chain and the use of blockchain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of what evidence-based practice is, with the 5 steps and the summary. So we've all seen this, have we? Yeah? So these are opinions. We are all surrounded by opinions, expert opinions and so on. And here we have an expert saying, you know, enterprise blockchains are a fad, cryptocurrencies are scams, ICOs are scams. Is this evidence-based? Is this an evidence-based statement? Not really. Recently, research published in the JBBA, it showed that actually the magnitude of ICOs and cryptocurrency scams are actually quite small, much smaller than actually anticipated. And we hear this all the time, don't we? Blockchains are bullshit, this and that. These are opinions. These are not facts. And there is hype as well, I have to say. And we know about that. So you Google it, you get all sorts of information. If you're a policymaker, you'll be confused. Yeah, isn't it? Where would you go for information? Because everybody is an expert on LinkedIn and Twitter. So not just the negative side of things, but also too much towards the hype. Blockchain will disrupt every industry, right? Everything is really blockchain going to disrupt everything? So what would you do if you are a policymaker? Well, you want to scientifically evaluate these opinions. I like this slide from Edward Denning. He says, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. So these opinions, these expert opinions, worry you, they bother you if you are using them to make decisions. If you're not using them to make decisions, it's fine. You can just look at them, think about them, ponder about them. But if you're making decisions that are later going to cost you, your company, your country, billions of dollars, you better be making decisions based on evidence and not, some opinions. So what is evidence-based blockchain? This has been around for many years. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. It's a stakeholder-centered approach, conscientious, explicit, and judicious decision-making process based on best available evidence. Conscientious means you try, you actively try. Explicit means you write it down, you communicate, not just I know it works. You write it down very clearly. What exactly is it that you are trying to solve? What's the problem? What's the question? And then you make a judgment based on best available evidence, not just best evidence, available at the time you are making a decision. You might have to change your opinion later if something better comes along, yeah? So 5-step approach. Anybody can do that. In fact, all of us should be doing it. You ask a very clear question. You search for information. You critically evaluate that information. Is it reliable? Can I trust? Is it trustworthy? Is it valid? Can I use it? Then you apply the results, and then you document your results. It's important that the other people should know, isn't it? That's how we all learn. So evidence-based practice has been around for many years, first described in the 1970s by a physician called Archibald Cochrane. He was, again, Scottish doctor, and he found out that patients were dying because doctors were practicing medicine that was not based on any evidence. And later on, it's been adopted by many professions. It's spread across education, nursing, justice, and very recently, perhaps, in blockchain or distributed ledgers. If you want to read more, how to profit from evidence-based management, there's a book from Jeffrey Pfeffer, professor from Stanford. And there are many examples. This is Australia, talking about evidence-based, European Commission, evidence-based policymaking. Japan, evidence-based policymaking, Singapore. There are many books written on evidence-based policing, practice, nursing, criminal justice, and so on. So evidence-based practice is not new. It's a fundamental principle. It's been around for almost 3 decades. There are universities offering PhD and MSc programs on evidence-based healthcare. This is Oxford University. We have a Center for Evidence-Based Blockchain in the UK. Edinburgh Napier University is one of the founding members. There's 6 other universities, including Open University. There is a Center for Evidence-Based Mentoring, Evidence-Based Cybersecurity, Georgia State University in the USA. Evidence-based conferences. These are all the universities that are participating in blockchain research. That's our journal, the most recent edition. Theme was evidence-based blockchain, evidence-based practice. Universities are offering courses. You pay £1,200. Here you're getting it for free today. Yeah. So evidence-based education, this is another organization, received a Queen's Award for best practice. So why do we need evidence-based blockchain? Well, we have discussed some of the problems. There are 5 major problems. We are not asking right questions. We are not searching for the right information and also all the information. We are not good at evaluating information or critically appraising it, applying and assessing. This is exactly what evidence-based practice solves. So 5 A's is easy to remember. Ask, acquire, appraise, apply, assess. Yeah, anybody could do that. So I'm a policymaker, I'm a government official. Should we be using blockchain for supply chain? So that's a question. How is that for a question? Is that a good question? Is that a good question? Are you happy with this? Can we do better than this? Yeah?
You need to break it down into certain elements of your supply chain and what your outcome to be, and if it matches.
Absolutely spot on. Absolutely. So how can we ask better? This is a poor question. Okay? Which blockchain? Which blockchain? There are so many. There is IOTA, there is this, there is public, there is private permission. Which blockchain? You will be disappointed down the line. You lose a lot of money. So which blockchain? Looking at what, as she said, measuring what? Consumer satisfaction, time efficiency, cost. Yeah? Where? In Scotland, in India, in Argentina? So poor question. So there's a strategy which you can use called PICO or PICO. So what's the problem? What's the intervention? Comparing to what? Yeah? And which outcome? So how about that for a question? Good? Yeah? Quite precise, well defined. And you can add more to this. But this is how you should be. Whether you are a startup or, what exactly are you trying to solve? So this is good. So where would you search for evidence? Now, this is a study, I came across this article. I don't think it's this 0% success. I'm not sure what they're talking about. But what's interesting here, if you see, they say that no one was willing to share information about their blockchain projects. If that's true, it's actually there's a problem. You have done some work, you have done some research, there's a project, a case study, but you're not willing to share. So how are we going to learn? So the first thing, again, as an evidence-based practitioner, you should be very open about, very explicit. You communicate what you have found, even if they're negative results. Yeah? So what is evidence? We say good quality evidence, not so good quality evidence. Well, if you're an evidence-based practitioner, you should be starting from the top. Yeah? Meta-analysis, systematic reviews. These are multiple studies, and then you go down. So at the top there is what we call filtered research, peer-reviewed, scientific research, and at the bottom you have opinions, anecdotes, and so on. So you should not be you should not be starting from the bottom, you should be starting from the top. If there's no systematic review or research available, fine. If you have searched for it, thought it's not available, fine. Is there any case study? Okay, there is no case study. Is there any essay or any review article? So where to search for high quality evidence? Well, just random Google search is not the answer, because you get a lot of opinions, a lot of crap articles. You have to look at scientific evidence and what are the searches. The Directory of Open Access Journals is another one good one. You have Semantic Scholar, Microsoft Academic, and so on, Scopus. So all the research that is indexed in Directory of Open Access Journal is peer-reviewed. So you know that the step 3, critical appraisal of research, at least somebody has appraised that research. Yeah, at least 2 people. So you know that it's peer-reviewed and it's open access and it's good quality. This is the research that we published in the JBBA. Some more examples. These are all JBBA research articles. Another article has been published in the journals, Microsoft Academic. Semantic Scholar is another good search engine. It uses AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. I'm not an AI expert, but it actually gives you highly influential articles in the field. This is one of the articles that I co-authored with Professor Buchanan. It's on Semantic Scholar. And there are many others. So what are the sources of evidence? Well, you have if you say, well, I don't have any research or study, but I have my personal experience. Fine, that could be a source of evidence, but you have to make sure that it's based on some sound knowledge and facts, not just I like to do things this way. This is just my gut feeling or intuition. Yeah, then you're not an evidence-based practitioner. Then you have your organization evidence. You work in IBM, Corda, whatever, and then you have a consortium evidence. Yeah, like Enterprise Ethereum Alliance or some network or some consortium, and you have scientific evidence, which is external evidence. So then you appraise the evidence. If it's in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, you know that at least somebody has looked at it and appraised it, and it's a process of really systematically examining. Each step in the evidence-based practice is a discipline in its own. There are MScs and PhDs and course and certification program for each individual step. So this is University of Birmingham offering a course on critical appraisal, which is step number 3 in evidence-based practice. So I'm just going to give you some example. You might be wondering, well, what is meta-analysis, what systematic review? Do we have them in blockchain? Yes, we do, but very few. And we get more and more as we go down, as you can expect. So healthcare, there are some systematic reviews, not many, because we have got multiple, we've got a few research studies. Systematic review of blockchain application in education, healthcare, and this is what you need when you're talking to policymakers. If you want funding, if you want investment, you can't just go and say, well, I have the next best thing. No, I am here with evidence. Yeah. Meta-analysis, like I said, there are not many. And then you have your research studies. These are some of the research studies from JPBA. Critical reviews. Now this is where you're going down, yeah? From quality of evidence, yeah? Analysis. This one is, sorry, how do I go back? This one is Prof. Buchanan's article. E-voting on the blockchain, book reviews, commentaries, and then opinions and so on. So, assessing results. Why should you assess results? Well, I think we have discussed already, it's very, very important to document what you found. Yeah? What are the results? And not just the outputs, not just the results, but whether those results have made any impact. Like, what's the point of doing a research? What's the ultimate goal? That whatever you're doing should make a difference, isn't it? Yeah? Whether it's a policy making or something like that. So what is the influence? What's the outcome? So there are many tools available. This is one that we use. It's called Altmetrics. You can use PlumX, and there are many. And it gives us real-time data on who is using our research, who is talking about it, who is tweeting about it, which policymaker is citing our research. And it's real-time. Citations, there is a lag. We know about that. Yeah? Sometimes take years for academics to cite your work. This is real-time. So we know exactly what's going on. And it's free to use. So if you have done some e-voting on the blockchain, what were the outcomes? What were the results? Okay? So write it down. Publish your findings. Why are we not using it? Well, I think there are multiple factors. Our own cognitive biases, strongly held beliefs. If you have a very firmly held belief about something, you would tend to go and read articles to confirm your own previously held belief, isn't it? Yeah? You tend not to look for anything else. So our own firmly held beliefs, I think, are one of the stumbling the blockades. And organizational culture is very important. Dynamic, these disruptive technologies, the challenges, the evidence-based practice actually challenge the status quo. Because it gives power to anyone in the organization. You can be anybody in the organization and you can ask the CEO of your organization, well, is this evidence-based? I'm an evidence-based practitioner. You say you're going to invest 500 million in this blockchain project, but hang on, is there an evidence for this? So EBB gives power back to people. Anybody can ask anybody in the organization. And obviously, people higher up sometimes won't like it. Well, who the hell are you? Why are you questioning me? Yeah? I'm making the decision, I'm the boss. So very, very important, yeah? So organizational culture, I think, is a big thing. And we see this time and again. Power and politics. So what are the risks? Well, there is a risk that you would lose a lot of money. If you are doing a project that is not based on any evidence, you will then end up building frameworks, policies for your government, for your institution, which are not based on any scientific evidence. You make ineffective policies. And on the other hand, if you have a project, a solution, an idea, which is backed by solid evidence, you have a very good chance of getting funding, approval. If you are in the USA, evidence-based practice is a law in the US. So if in USA you say, well, I have a project and it's based on solid scientific evidence, you have a better chance of getting your point across. So the last couple of slides, what to do if you are an individual. Well, I always recommend and I suggest always start by asking the question, why? Why? Why should I listen to you? Yeah? Has this person got any vested interest in telling me about this? Yeah? Is this based on any scientific evidence? Why should I listen to you? So always start by asking why. If you're an organization, I would recommend you go through the 5 steps approach to evidence-based practice. And to learn more about it, we are hosting a conference next year in Edinburgh on evidence-based blockchain. And the call for submissions are open. So if you have a research project or an idea or a research paper, submit your abstracts. All the details are available on our on the website. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions? Yeah, one quick. Hang on.
Dr. Naseem, this is music. Sort of, give it a cue.
Catch.
Yep. Amazing. Yes, this is music to my ears because I'm a marketer and I work for Slotcoin, and I do marketing in the technology sector. And for me to give an accurate, proper message out to the public and to push a story forward, I'm all about being evidence-based. And when you were talking about the extreme hype around blockchain and cryptocurrency, and the opposite hype, the negativity.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And I've been trying to navigate these waters, and now I have a source of empirical correctness that I can refer to. So thank you very much.
You are welcome. Very welcome.
Just to broaden the scope, anybody who's done any kind of academic training will see this as just a scientific method that is applied to this particular problem.
Yes.
Exactly.
And this applies to all evidence bases in all verticals and sectors.
Exactly.
This is what people should follow, but don't, because it's actually a lot of work.
But isn't it strange, because, so I recognise this from doing my master's, that this is, a research method, this is how it should be. But when you're talking about why people don't use it, and it's the cultural biases, it's the politics, it's convenience as well to just go and take this in my job, because I work in the digital sphere. It's got to be now. I've got to get the information now.
Yes.
So it can be very convenient to just go, right, that sort of looks about right, but it's misinformation.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's very convenient, very easy. Things get in the way. We don't have time. I don't have time for this, to search for evidence and this and that. And I think one question which nobody asked, which I'm going to ask myself and then answer, is what is the evidence for evidence-based practice? Good question, yeah? What is the evidence for evidence-based practice? Now, there was a study done some years back, and they look at how senior managers and executives make decisions. So they split them into 2 groups and asked one group to make decision based on just intuition,